Good evening, everybody. Long time no see. Haven't been to Canada for a long, long time. Okay, so I was asked to talk about Shifu a little bit. And I don't know how many of you already know the master or not. So if I say more than you need to know, please forgive me. There may be some people who need to know. So the master was born in Manchuria in 1918. And little did we know what an event that was. Because when we came to know the master in our various times of meeting him, my time was 1969, end of 68, early 69. Please, yeah, stay with it. We didn't know that he was going to have such an effect on our lives. And conditions all came together and we met him, and many of us stayed with him for the rest of his life, and we'll stay with him for the rest of our life. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, the next important thing that happened with the master, can you click once more? Master's picture will come up. Thank you. In 1956, when the master was only 38, he received the transmission from Master Hsuan, and you'll see the 3 bullet points. He became the 9th patriarch of the Huayang sect, the 46th patriarch in China from Shakyamuni Buddha, and he was given the name Hsuan Hua. All of that was done in this document, which was prepared by Venerable Master Hsuan. Next slide. So to know a little bit about the master, you need to know how much he cared about youth. He told us that the future of our cities, our countries, our nations, and the whole world lay in the hands of youth. And therefore, it was so important that we all had positive influences on youth, since they would take over the task of keeping this world together. And I included on this page Master's painting. He painted this himself. It's a Earth Store Bodhisattva, because Earth Store was also an advocate of supporting youth. And the master lectured the Earth Store Sutra and encouraged us to recite it. And we taught it in the schools, parts of it, to the children. Next slide. The next aspect of importance about the master was he was always healing and bestowing fearlessness. You'll see in these photos several aspects of how he did that. He might touch the person. He might use these 2 fingers and bless the person. Here he's doing it very quietly with his hands on his lap. Here he's going to pat a person's head. And here he's using both hands in mudras in an assembly to bless the people. We saw this all the time. If the master, when I knew the master, I was fortunate enough to be around him for 17 years, from 1968 until 1985 when he sent me to Gold Buddha. And after he sent me to Gold Buddha, then I had many years in Gold Buddha off and on, but also he sent me to many other branch way places, and I was rarely resident in the same place he was ever again. But during those 17 years when I was around him, if he wasn't teaching or actively doing something with people or situations, he was saying his 42 hands, and he was using them to bless people. Next slide. The other thing he did a great deal of in his life was to accept people into monasticism. He accepted the mother of a journalist for the I can't remember the name of the newspaper. Anyway, he was a journalist, and his mother was in her 90s, and she had been illiterate, but she started reciting the Avatamsaka, and somehow she came to be literate just by reciting it. So she was an amazing woman. And when she was in her 90s, he let her leave home. Here we have Anisha, who invited me to talk tonight, getting her head shaved by the master. So he's very encouraging to bring people into monasticism, which is so important because without the monastic element, Buddhism will not survive. And it needs the male monastic element as well as the female. Okay, next slide. This is a verse, or I mean, a saying, I guess a matching couplet that Shifu wrote out and often talked to us about. Diligently cultivate precept, samadhi, wisdom, and put to rest greed, hatred, and stupidity. This is one of the last things that Venerable Master Hsuan said before he passed away. Next slide. Okay, on this slide, can you get out of slide mode so I can read my notes at the bottom, please? Can you get out of slide mode so I can read my notes? Thank you. Okay, I'll read them out loud. As the Sangha of monastic disciples ordained by the master grew, he worked hard to provide proper way places for them to reside. Here we see CTTB, but beyond that in California, he established Gold Wheel, Gold Mountain, Gold Sage, City of the Dharma Realm, Long Beach, Snow Mountains, not in California. International Translation Institute, HQ, Blessings and Prosperity and Longevity, and Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. And then across the United States and in Canada, he established Avatamsaka Vihara, which is over close to Washington, D.C., Gold Buddha Monastery, and Avatamsaka Monastery. And in Asia, he established Hong Kong Buddhist Lecture Hall and Sishing Monastery. In Taiwan, Dharma Realm Buddhist Book Center, Amitabha Monastery, and the Southern Monastery at Six Turtles. In Malaysia, he established Dharma Realm Guanyin Monastery, Prajna Guanyin Monastery, Fayens Monastery, Lotus Vihara, Penang Dharma Realm branches, 2 of them, and Guanyin Sagely Monastery. And finally, in Australia, he established Gold Coast Dharma Realm. So it's an impressive number of way places that the master established during his life. Okay, you can go back to slide mode and give me the next slide. Please put it in slide mode. Okay. The master accumulated the 42 hands, and he told us about that. He said he had to go around making deals and begging. He spent his youth looking for the 42 hands, finding people who still held one or more of the hands, and then negotiating with them. And finally, he had all 42 hands together, and then he wrote verses for all the 42 hands. And this verse with the Vajra pestle, he says, the pestle subdues resentful demons and startles ghosts and spirits. The universe is auspicious. A proper energy is sustained. Dharma is protected. The teachings guarded, and merit infuses all. When the Sangha is in harmony, way places flourish. This is one of the things the master emphasized. First of all, he emphasized that we learn the 42 hands and practice them, but he also emphasized harmony. Can you go to the next slide, please? So in monastic life, we have 6 harmonies, but the master extended this to the community of the Fourfold Assembly, that basically harmony was extremely important, and that we had to learn how to be in harmony with other monastics and with the lay community. And the lay community had to be in harmony with themselves and with us monastics. The 6 harmonies. Being physically in harmony, we abide together. Being verbally in harmony, we do not quarrel. Being mentally in harmony, we share our joy. Being in harmony about benefits, we each get a portion. That means when offerings are made, they're divided equally, distributed equally. Being in harmony in our views, we have similar understanding. Being in harmony about precepts, we cultivate them together. Okay, next slide. And this is just a sampling of the kinds of things that the master did to help keep the Sangha functioning well. One of them was interfaith. This is Cardinal Yubin before he passed away shortly. And here you'll see the master's disciples watching as he is greeted by and greets a fellow monastic. This is probably in Malaysia. Here is the master willing to join the water, land, and air ceremony that the mainland monks and the Taiwan monks came to perform. Here he is with all the monastics of Junchan. All his monastic peers and disciples came to greet the master. And here is the elder Hui Sung, who had an ongoing relationship with the city of 10,000 Buddhas, and he spoke the Bodhisattva precepts for us. Next slide. And he hosted Sangha deeds. So this is the water, land, and air, where talk about harmony. He had both the mainland and the Taiwanese, who don't get along, come together to perform this magnificent water, land, and air ceremony at the city of 10,000 Buddhas. Next slide. Okay, and finally, he knew how essential it was that there be a Sangha in order for Buddhism to remain proper in the world. So he wrote this, actually he wrote this in 1956 back in Hong Kong, but it's certainly applicable even to today. an exhortation to the Sangha. The Buddha Dharma isn't yet gone, but the Sangha almost is. Virtue is what its members should nurture, yet who among them does? Those few still honest and sincere reap the world's disdain. The others who deceive and scheme receive undue acclaim. In this world of five turbidities, finding pure people is rare. Beings do not seem concerned in the three Duncan states they share. Hear now my earnest exhortation to you, all young Sanghas. Bhikshus, perpetuate our teaching. The burden rests in your hands. So he very much hoped to keep the Sangha alive and to keep the male Sangha strong.
Okay, please put your palms together. 愿以此功德，庄严佛净土，上报四重恩，下济三途苦。若有见闻者，悉发菩提心，尽此一报身。同生极乐国，顶礼老和尚。阿弥陀佛。